Benavidez, Morrell, who wins?
It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a good fight. 50-50 fight.
And I think that it's going to be a war. In my eyes, I see it as a 50-50 fight.
These fighters, I think David Morrell may have needed, one or two more real tests before he really, build the resolve to be able to handle a guy with the ability, the power.
Boxing experts have shared their predictions for the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell. Sean Porter is leaning towards Benavidez, believing he will prevail over Morrell in their 12-round main event on Saturday, February 1st. At the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Porter's viewpoint aligns with many Benavidez supporters, who believe his greater professional experience gives him the edge over the undefeated Morrell. He argues that Benavidez's experience in facing top-level competition throughout his career sets him apart, especially compared to Morrell, who has yet to prove himself at the same level. Porter also pointed out that while Andrade is past his prime and Canelo Alvarez has already beaten Caleb Plant, Benavidez's victories over them don't significantly boost his credibility in this particular matchup and might even reinforce doubts about him. Additionally, Porter mentioned Benavidez's underwhelming performance in his June fight against Alexander Gavril, where he struggled against a stronger opponent, lost steam, and showed little resilience. Porter described the fight as evenly matched, giving Benavidez a slight advantage, estimating a 55-45 split in favor of Benavidez. He expressed his excitement for the fight, calling it a David versus David showdown and emphasizing how much he enjoys the matchup. Porter noted that Benavidez has the advantage in terms of both experience and strength. He explained that while both fighters are large, Benavidez is more naturally suited for the 175 pounds division. Porter emphasized that Benavidez's ability to endure pressure throughout a full 12-round fight, something Morrell hasn't experienced at the professional level, would be a key factor. He also pointed out that Morrell's recent bout against Ravia Kalides presented a different kind of challenge, one that didn't test him with the same level of resistance that a competitive 12-round fight would offer.
Fight is that one?
That's 50-50 right there. If anything, 55-45 for Benavidez.
Yeah.
I love David versus David. I love everything about the fight. The thing I feel that Benavidez has over Morrell is experience, is true strength. Both of those guys are big guys, but I think Benavidez is more of the natural 175 pounder.
Yeah, you're like, Morrell's such a high level technical fighter, but Jose mentioned what you just mentioned, like they feel like the experience is gonna eventually show through. Like, I don't know, take me into that, like how experience can trump like talent and technicality like that.
You know what? The thing that I know for this fight, with when you are in a competitive fight that's gonna go 12 rounds, of course you're prepared for the 12.
Sean Porter highlights that David Morrell has not yet faced an opponent who brings the same relentless pressure or matches the sheer size of David Benavidez, a fighter who is known for his cruiserweight-like presence. Although Morrell comfortably handled Rado Katic in his 175-pound debut last August, he was never pushed onto the back foot the way Benavidez is expected to do in their upcoming fight. Katic, though a powerful puncher, didn't apply the constant pressure that Benavidez does. Porter believes that if Benavidez charges in recklessly, he might walk straight into Morrell's sharp counters or be hurt by a well-placed body shot. Benavidez's own light heavyweight debut was less than impressive, with him fading after 8 rounds and nearly being stopped in the 12th round by Alexander Gzik. Porter noted that Benavidez has the power and speed to match Morrell, but his true advantage lies in his experience and ability to handle both the mental and physical demands of a long fight. Morrell has not yet been tested in a 12-round bout with sustained pressure, which Porter believes will challenge him mentally. He pointed out that Benavidez has faced such challenges before, something Morrell hasn't yet experienced at the professional level. Porter acknowledged that Benavidez's fans have long viewed him as a top fighter, but doubts remain about his ability to handle someone like Morrell, especially since Benavidez has mostly fought older and smaller opponents in his career. His recent bout against Gzik further raised concerns about his ability to compete at the higher weight class. as he was nearly stopped and looked less than dominant. Benavidez's defense, particularly around his body, has often been a weak spot, with his fluctuating weight between fights leading to vulnerability in that area. Despite absorbing headshots well, he struggles when attacked to the body, something that Morrell could exploit. When asked about Benavidez's chances of winning by knockout, like he did against the smaller Demetrius Andrade, Porter speculated that a knockout might take longer against Morrell, especially considering Morrell's size and physical advantages. Porter said the fight would be a tough challenge for both men, requiring Benavidez to avoid exposing himself to serious risks while seeking a win. If he doesn't adjust his approach, he could find himself outboxed or even stopped by Morrell. Canelo Alvarez, who has had past associations with both fighters, expressed uncertainty about the outcome. He sees the fight as evenly matched, predicting a 50-50 contest. Even though the bookmakers favor Benavidez, Canelo will undoubtedly be watching closely, as both fighters have previously been linked to him. In the 168-pound division, on the other hand, Olympic gold medalist Andy Cruz is confident in Morrell's chances, predicting a knockout win. Cruz sees Morrell as a focused, playful fighter who will bring a strong performance to the ring, suggesting that Benavidez will struggle to match Morrell's composure. Benavidez's fans, who have long believed in him as the top fighter in the 168-pound division, may face a harsh reality if he loses to Morrell. A defeat would reveal cracks in his carefully crafted reputation, especially since his resume includes wins over older and smaller opponents, raising questions about his true skill level. As fans rally behind him, any loss to Morrell would challenge their long-held beliefs, potentially leaving them disillusioned and questioning whether Benavidez was ever the fighter they thought he was. Meanwhile, light heavyweight contender Adu Kadic believes Morrell's path to victory lies in surviving the first 6 to 8 rounds and keeping his composure under Benavidez's pressure. Super middleweight contender Diego Pacho, who has recently sparred with Benavidez, expressed confidence in Benavidez's abilities, praising his physical condition and skill in the ring. Pacho believes Benavidez will defeat Morrell, potentially securing a stoppage victory in the process.
And man, how do you think Benavidez does? Your gym mate a week after you fight. How do you think that fight goes with Morrell, man?
I think David, he's looking very good. I've been in the gym with him for the past few weeks, and he's been looking great shape, doing some amazing things in the ring. Like always, David's the monster. So I think he'll take care of business February 1st. I think he might even get the stoppage against David Morrell.
David Benavidez has earned his Mexican Monster nickname due to his relentless, multifaceted attack in the ring. However, Diego Pacho, who sparred with Benavidez just 3 months ago, drew attention to the strength of Benavidez's defense. When asked about Benavidez's underrated skills, Pacho's eyes lit up as he highlighted Benavidez's defensive abilities. Despite often standing upright, Pacho explained that Benavidez's defensive skills are impressive, particularly his ability to pull back quickly and then counter with punches. This quick reflex and counter-punching ability make his defense surprisingly effective, adding a layer of depth to his overall fighting style.
David Morrell is a guy that you can't take lightly. He's a great fighter. He's up there for a reason. One of the best Cubans out right now. So it's gonna be a great fight. But I just feel like David is one of those guys too who's a monster and just doesn't let anyone take it from him. And when he's in there, he's going in there for the kill. And of course, I feel like Morrell is maybe going to be his toughest opponent yet.
Pacho also mentioned that Benavidez is always looking to improve. He shared with Zittel that Benavidez films all of his training sessions and carefully analyzes every detail. Pacho explained that Benavidez pays close attention to small aspects, such as footwork and shoulder movements, and adjusts his techniques based on what he sees. Pacho appreciated how Benavidez shared this knowledge with him, constantly offering tips and suggestions that he believed would help Pacho improve his own skills.
To prevail.
I think he has a really good jab. He's a good fighter. He keeps his distance really well, so that I feel like he's gonna make it hard for David in the early rounds. But like we saw with Caleb Plant, Caleb Plant was doing a great job boxing the first few rounds when he fought David, but then David just has that chip in his shoulder where he's just coming forward. Even on the clinch hits, he's still punching. He's still getting punches in, and I feel like when you're boxing a guy like David and he just keeps coming forward no matter what you do, it just makes it hard mentally for you to keep that same game plan and stick to it, because you have a monster like him throwing big punches coming in.
Gabriel Rosado believes that David Morrell's relentless taunts have unleashed a fierce side of David Benavidez, the WBC interim light heavyweight champion, igniting a fire in him ahead of their showdown this Saturday. Rosado feels that in their 12-round main event, Benavidez will target Morrell, aiming to overwhelm him with punches to secure a knockout. Benavidez, known for his relentless volume and size, has faced opponents who often viewed him as a one-dimensional fighter. However, Morrell, a technically refined Cuban boxer, has made Benavidez's style seem straightforward, and Rosado believes this challenge has pushed Benavidez to bring out his best. Benavidez, with his 12 years of experience, is now facing his toughest challenge in the form of Morrell, who is holding the WBA regular light heavyweight title. Rosado points out that this fight was one Benavidez didn't have to take, as Morrell was the one who needed it. He believes Benavidez has shown his courage by accepting the challenge, even though he avoided fighting Morrell for 2 years after first being called out in 2022. Morrell's constant trash talk, questioning Benavidez's courage and punching power, has only added fuel to the fire, according to Rosado. Despite Morrell's challenges, Rosado favors Benavidez to win, but he acknowledges that Morrell cannot be overlooked. Rosado sees this fight as a true clash of styles, with Benavidez relying on his volume and constant pressure, while Morrell will try to land clean, powerful shots. He also suggests that Morrell, being a product of the Cuban boxing tradition, brings a level of tactical awareness that Benavidez has not encountered in the past. Unlike the stationary opponents Benavidez has faced in his career, Morrell will use his movement and boxing skills to neutralize Benavidez's relentless attack. Rosado believes the outcome will come down to whether Benavidez's volume can overwhelm Morrell, or if Morrell can land the cleaner, more powerful shots. Rosado also brings up the issue of Benavidez's growing fatigue, as seen in his bout against Alexander Gzik in June, where he showed signs of exhaustion by the 8th round. Moving up to 175 pounds has added to the toll on his body, and Rosado points out that the punches Benavidez is absorbing at light heavyweight carry much more power than those at 168 pounds. He believes Morrell will have the advantage in terms of power, but Benavidez's volume could still give him the edge if he doesn't tire out. Antonio Tarver, a 2-time world champion, also weighed in on the fight, suggesting that Morrell may need a knockout to win. Tarver feels that Benavidez's raw, brute force tactics could be problematic for Morrell if he rushes him early, as he has with past opponents. However, Tarver believes Morrell's combination of power and technical skill could force Benavidez to abandon his typical approach, which has been successful against smaller, less skilled opponents. While Benavidez's size and experience give him an advantage, Tarver emphasized that Morrell could still prevail, especially if he lands a decisive shot. Tarver also mentioned that Benavidez's tendency to throw a high volume of punches often leaves him vulnerable to significant strikes, which could play into Morrell's hands. Tarver acknowledged that Benavidez's style, built on overwhelming opponents with constant output, has worked well against smaller fighters, but Morrell brings a much heavier punch than anyone Benavidez has faced before. Benavidez's first real test against a fighter of Morrell's size and power, like Alexander Gzik, showed his vulnerabilities, especially when Morrell is capable of landing damaging shots. While Benavidez holds a slight height advantage, Tarver noted that Morrell actually has a 4-inch reach advantage, which could be a key factor in the fight. Tarver ultimately believes that Morrell needs 1 or 2 more tests to be fully prepared to handle the challenge Benavidez presents, but he emphasized that if Morrell hopes to win, he must secure a knockout to avoid being outworked by Benavidez's relentless pace.
And it's going to be, I think Morrell's going to have to find that shot that really, not only drops, but, concuss. He got to knock David Benavidez out. And there's fighters you can make quit. I don't think neither one of these fighters you can make quit. Sometime you got to knock them out. And I think this is one of those type of fights where, in order to secure victory, You know what I mean? In order to secure victory, one of these guys is going to have to end it with inside the distance. You know, and I think when you look at, you know, what they bring to the table, David Benavidez is going to have a little reach and size advantage.
It seems that Tarver has bought into the hype, echoing the same points often made by Benavidez's supporters. However, if you block out the noise from his fan base and focus on the key factors his imposing size and the aging, smaller opponents he's been dominating, you'll quickly realize that Benavidez may just be a classic example of a weight bully. Tarver did acknowledge that Morrell would be one of the most gifted fighters Benavidez has faced, recognizing Morrell's considerable talent. He also highlighted the experience Benavidez gained from facing top-tier fighters like Caleb Plant and others. Tarver referred to the tough challenge Benavidez faced against light heavyweight Alexander Gzik, emphasizing the level of competition Benavidez had encountered in his career. But when it comes to Benavidez's win over Caleb Plant, Tarver might be overhyping the victory. Plant's performance against Benavidez, especially in the first 5 rounds, showed that he had skills and could hold his own. However, Canelo Alvarez completely overwhelmed Plant and knocked him out, showcasing a level of dominance that Benavidez didn't replicate. If you're trying to build up Benavidez's win over Plant as evidence that he would beat Morrell, you're missing the full picture. The truth is that Benavidez didn't outperform Canelo against Plant, and in the first 6 rounds of his own fight with Plant, Benavidez was losing nearly every round. Plant exposed some of his weaknesses, and if that's the performance people are using to back Benavidez in a fight with Morrell, they're overlooking key details.
This will be, I think, one of the, you know, more gifted fighters that Benavidez has faced. I think David Morrell comes in with a lot of talent. And you got, you know, a guy that has a talent like both of these guys, and they rise to the occasion. It's the moment that really gets these guys up. And I think this is the type of fight that you can say it's going to bring the best out of both of these guys, man.